Hello, I'm Sophia Lou and welcome to my channel. Hello guys and welcome to this marker review. This time I'll be reviewing the Hobbycraft art dual tip markers. This is actually the old brand. I found these in the Hobbycraft sale and I didn't realise that they had rebranded these markers recently, which they have done with different packaging. It looks like they're pretty much the same markers, so if you guys would like me to do a compare and contrast with the repackaged markers, please let me know in the comment section down below. But from what I read, they're pretty much very similar in what people have pros and their cons about it. Okay, so how did I feel about these markers? Well, as always, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to colour swatch them. It's so important when you get markers to colour swatch them, especially on the paper that you are going to use them on. As always, markers are going to perform better on marker paper or something smooth, like Bristol board, but like I use mixed media paper all the time because it lets me do everything on it. So I have to make sure that these markers perform well on the paper that I use. And I had quite a few issues with these. First off, like the barrels, like when you held them, they didn't feel like the most expensive barrels that you've ever had. And as you can see, when I colour swatched them, the nibs sometimes like were really close to the actual pen, and then other times they just were like completely off, just like completely utterly off. And that is why it's so important to colour swatch, because sometimes you can get a completely different result from one end to the other. Another thing as well is when I actually took the pen nib off sometimes, like the lid, the entire nib had shifted outwards. And as far as I could read up, there wasn't any replacement nibs for these. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but like literally I was trying to find out so much research about these markers and there is next to no information about these. Even on the Hobbycraft website, I found that they have like a total of 18 colours in the newer range, and considering these go all the way up to, from what I've got here, the number 85, I found that really weird that I couldn't find more colours. This is through searching on the Hobbycraft website. I was just really struggling to find any information about them at all, which isn't the best thing, especially when you want to find out your marker range and explore and like make your marker range much bigger. So maybe there are more markers out there, but from what I could see on the website, there was only 18. This was really bad for speckling, and when I'm talking about speckling, I like to layer my colours one on top of each other. It helps with blending, it helps keep the colours smooth, and it helps make it look like really nice and this and that. It's a technique that I've used for a long time. And sometimes when you do oversaturate, it can cause speckling, but I wasn't even saturating some of these colours and I was getting such bad speckling, especially on the darker tones, which isn't the best. When I use markers, I really like to try and get as smooth colouring as possible. Now, as with any markers, they are not going to be light fast. I think there's only like 2 brands of markers that I know that are that claim that they are light fast. I know one of them is the Winsor & Newton pigment markers, and I cannot quite remember the name of the other brand. I'd have to have a look and see, get that information for you. But like I had such problems with using them. The colours were really bright, they were really vibrant, I couldn't fault them, but I felt like the paper was buckling just a touch, which isn't the best when you want to show off the markers. And bear in mind, I'm using mixed media paper, and mixed media paper can pretty much hold most things. And yet again, if you want the best performance from any markers, I do actually highly suggest that you use some like Bristol board or smooth paper. So I tried to colour match with the pro markers the best that I could, and then build up from there and try and get the best colour variation that I could. And you can see like straight away there is a difference with the 2 markers. I found that the Hobbycraft markers, after a bit, the colours looked a little dull and desaturated after I'd used them, especially when you start to layer the colours. They just got really dull and really muddy, and that is not the best thing that you want with the markers, especially when you are trying to produce a full piece with them. And I don't know about the longevity of these. I don't know how long the ink's gonna last for or anything like that. So it was kind of, I wouldn't say that they are the worst markers I've ever used, and for a budget marker, I would highly recommend them. If you've not used markers before, I always suggest actually trying a cheaper brand and then building up to a more expensive brand. It's the same with any art supply. I personally suggest actually going for a cheaper brand and then building up to a bigger brand, because you may not know whether or not you like something until you actually try it out. And yes, certain markers are going to perform better than others. You are going to get a better tone with a more expensive marker. It's one of the reasons why so many people sing the praises of Copic markers and Winsor & Newton markers in particular, the Tria markers as well, and some other professional brands, just because even though they are a higher price budget, you are going to get like better overall pieces with them. But yet again, I'm a firm believer that you don't need the most expensive supplies to produce art. I think if you want to try it, go for it. Hobbycraft markers, I wouldn't really recommend them. There are like cheaper markers out there that perform much better, and I will be doing more reviews of them, but you can see like compare and contrast. Like I was really struggling to blend them, even though the colors are quite far apart. Sometimes you can blend colors quite seamlessly, and this was really struggling to blend, and I just thought it didn't suit what I needed it for. I hope like this review has been somewhat helpful. I do have a few other marker reviews coming up, so let me know if you've got any recommendations for markers that you would like me to try out. I'm always on the hunt for trying out different brands and trying out different things to help recommend for you guys. It's one of those, you don't know whether or not you like something until you try it, and you know I sing the praises of Winsor & Newton markers so much. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are. What do you guys think? Which side do you prefer? I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you wish to see more content. But as always, folks, stay creative.